Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sanderlanche podcast. Today, we are finishing the Bands of Mourning, the third book in the Wax and Wane quadrilogy, or era 2 of the Mistborn books.
It was tetralogy, not quadrilogy.
Is it really? Okay.
Yeah, quadrilogy is not actually a word.
Interesting. I like learning new vocabulary. I'm going to forget that probably, though.
It was a massive...
Dumb, but
Sorry.
isn't Tetra 3?
No, I'm pretty sure it's the... All right, I'm going to look this up now.
Yep.
But I remember there was a whole thing when the Alien movies released the quadrilogy box set, and the vocabulary nerds got so up in arms about it, so it's always stuck with me.
So,
here we go.
yeah, okay.
Tetralogy, a group of 4 related literary or operatic works.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Cool.
All right.
It's a good thing.
Well, then what do you call 5 of them?
Quintralogy? I don't know. Wow, we haven't even made to the intro and I've already derailed the episode.
Pentalogy. Or quintet. Both. Okay. Good to know. Anyway,
Makes sense.
I'm Data, and with me today is...
Dak?
Joe?
And Jamie.
And in these chapters, there's some conflict. There's negotiation happening, and there's a wedding, and a major character gets exploded. So lots of excitement, lots of an interesting way to wrap up this book, I feel like. But we'll get into that in a moment. Hang on to something. The Sanderlanche is about to begin.
Revolution holds us bound. Come on down to London town. Break your back for class and crown. Come on down to London town. Steam train running on a restless rail. Speeding right into the rising gale. Shovel harder 'cause we're on your tail. London's bloody dry.
So yeah, 3 chapters, 2 and an epilogue. What did you guys think of the end of this book and the currently released Mistborn universe? Well, I mean, universe is probably the wrong word.
Like the Cosmere is the universe.
Yeah, so it's not the end of the Cosmere. It's the end of what we know of what's happening on Scadrial, I guess is the way to put it. But that's a weirder, harder sentence to form.
This is good. I feel like of all the books we've read so far, this one in particular has actually taken the time to wrap itself up at the end the most. Like wrapped up as many of its plot threads as it could. It took some time to let the ending breathe a bit because we had the climax last time, and now we've actually got a couple of chapters of them picking up the pieces and seeing where they're at, and then the epilogue and everything. So that was all really cool. I think this, like, as far as endings go, this one actually took a bit of time to make itself happen, and I really appreciated that. Yeah, the whole thing with Suit and the Trellish agent was like, well, that's a thing. Like I was enjoying Suit, and I thought, oh yeah, we might get a bit more of him, but nope, there we go. All right, so he's out of the picture, and that's your classic. The new bad guys are playing for keeps. So looking forward to working out what the hell all that's about. But the other two were bang on about Telson still being out there. So I guess we'll see some more of her. Yeah, no, just on the whole, like fun endings, like the confrontation with the governor and Alec, like giving Marasai his mask was really sweet. Yeah, a lot of good character moments in this one. I think this is definitely one of the better books we've read so far, if I had to pick it. Very very satisfied with this read.
Good. Yeah, I definitely agree. It seems to wrap up most of the stuff. I mean, it doesn't necessarily wrap up like stuff that we're waiting on from past books, but I don't know that you can blame it for only wrapping up its own story. Should a book really be responsible for a whole lot more than that? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I am still a bit. Oh, they didn't do anything with Ray Lure getting his spike back. That was literally what got them started on this whole journey. Yeah. I think that was the most major thing that was sort of left hanging. That wasn't obviously a setup for a future book. So I have to see if that comes into play again. But it's like I hope we see Ray Lure again. I want to know more.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe the next book will require more Khandra intervention. We'll have like 5 Khandra helping out.
Yeah. Oh, and I forgot, like the very end of the book. I read like the little dedication, the afterword or whatever that Brandon wrote, where it's where he mentions that Secret History came out after he wrote this. So I'm like, so this is the bit where everyone's saying you need to read Secret History after Bands of Mourning, so that moment is way more of a shock. Whereas I think we've all just sort of gone, well, that's totally who it was.
Yeah, and I was gonna say that before we even started. I'm glad you reminded me. But yeah, that is, as Dak has guessed, is the big moment where you have the debate about whether or not reading Secret History first or after this is the better place, because in Secret History you get the reveal at the very beginning that Kelsier's death was not the end of Kelsier's story, and when you get it here, you get to the end of this book and you've been thinking like, was the Lord Ruler really alive all this time, or who else could that be? And it's like, it was who? It really is like a powerful moment to get. I will agree with that.
Yep. I mean, the moment still worked. I'm just like, oh, look who's like continuing his work, but it wasn't quite the jaw dropping what the fuck moment most people must have had when they first read it.
Yeah, because I read them in that order because this did come out first, and so I was just like, what? And then you read Secret History, and it's like, oh, okay, it all makes sense now. But it's always been, in my opinion, because Secret History takes place almost entirely like concurrently with that first trilogy, and so there's so much about it that connects directly to the events that are happening in the trilogy. I've always felt like if you're gonna read this second set of 3 books right away, then sure, wait to read Secret History till after that. It'll be fresh enough in your mind that you can connect the events that are happening. But if you're going to take a long time before you get to Bands of Mourning, I feel like it really pays off to have those events fresh. So you're like, oh, okay, so that's what was happening in the background of that. Explains what was happening during this scene of the Hero of Ages or whatever. So
yeah. Things like Vin chasing the shadow through that city, which the name of which I forget, makes a lot more sense reading Secret History, whereas we probably would have forgotten about it if we read it now.
Yep. And yeah, you get an explanation of like when Spook sees Kelsier in a vision and he thinks it's Kelsier at the end, but maybe not. So yeah, you get that. There's the Hoyd thing where it's not clear why Vin just gets a bad feeling and decides not to talk to Hoyd in that same city. And then we get this like, oh, it's Sexy Drifter, and that confirms that he is in fact Hoyd, and it also like explains why that happened. So yeah, there's lots of little bits like that. But yeah, so I think you guys see now. I don't know, maybe it's such a dramatic moment that I'm just like, I did regret slightly you guys not being able to have that same one.
Nah, it just gave me a feeling of superiority for guessing right. Yeah, the wrap up to this book, I have to say I didn't predict a lot of how it would kind of wrap up here. So I was a little surprised by Suit's death. I was a little disappointed. I know we kind of predicted it, but I was a little disappointed by the Telson disappearance, and like that was kind of it. Like, oh, she is gone. And Wayne being like, yeah, I mean, I just couldn't kill her. I was just kind of like, really? Okay, well, you could have at least tied her up or something. So that was kind of lame. And then I am still disappointed that we don't get a clear idea of what happened to these ladies still. It's like 3 books in and we still haven't wrapped that kind of mystery up. So that was a little disappointing, I have to say, because we don't know what's going on with them yet. So that but other than that, yeah, I think it wrapped up maybe as well as it could. The reveal at the end was fun to get confirmation, and also interesting. I mean, we know that spike was somewhat necessary, I guess, in reanimating Kelsier with some kind of hemalurgy. Maybe it was like some kind of soul forging. I don't know. Just taking a random guess at what that could be called. I don't have any background information that would give me that word. So soul forging is what I'm going to go with.
Okay.
Don't know if that's the correct terminology. Sure. So I'm interested to see what other information we get. Hopefully, maybe that'll be unraveled in the next book, which nobody knows yet. But maybe we'll know. Maybe we'll know soon. So yeah, the coin bearing the image of Kelsier and not Marsh makes total sense, but also is interesting. So I think that's the most interesting thing for me to come out of the ending is definitely the Kelsier bits, and kind of hoping that maybe we'll get some light shed on that in future in this 4th Mistborn book, which I think he said he's gone on record saying this will wrap up this era of Mistborn,
yep,
right?
It's supposed to.
So we know that this is going to be the last Wax and Wayne possible book, unless Wax also goes on to have crazy powers and travels into the future with long life, So, but yeah, so interested to see where we go with it for sure. Very sweet moment with him and And oh god, I can't even
Steris?
remember her name. Steris, thank you. With him and Steris getting married, so that was great. I enjoyed that. It was good. I was kind of like when he wakes up and he's like, "Was that an explosion?" And he's like, never mind." That was kind of like, wait, what? You're not gonna go investigate? Okay, man, whatever. I was a little surprised by that, but other than that, good ending. So yeah, I'm looking forward. Hopefully, you will get to read this fourth book soon and discover that it is good for us to go ahead and read, and that'll be fun if that's the case, because I really do like Wex a lot. I feel like he has a good amount of character flaws. Wayne obviously has more flaws, but Wax has quite a few as well. He sometimes I could find Wax obnoxious because he's a little too, I feel like, hard-headed or in his own head about stuff. But other than that, I really like him. I feel like he's a pretty likable protagonist. I like Marasai a lot, so it'll be kind of a bummer if we don't get to read the next portion for a while, because I do like these characters and I'd like to revisit them soon. So hopefully it'll be green for us to read the next book pretty quick after this.
Yeah, I'm also hopeful that, maybe we'll, because I don't want to necessarily put it off till way later if we can avoid it either, but I guess we'll have to see. I agreed with you that the wedding is a nice little moment and stuff, and there are a couple of people in the last episode who were like, man, I hope that happens, and so that panned out.
Yeah, it's good. I feel like they deserve kind of a win in that way. And so that was good. Oh, I will say probably the most unpredicted thing for me, which I guess I just wasn't thinking about it, was the reaction of that captain, like the animosity and the kind of tension in that moment right after the fight. I did not expect that. Maybe I should have. And so it was a little surprising. I was a little jarred by that. I'm like, wow, this is like the moment of conflict after this battle is between these two peoples. And I was like, I just wasn't expecting that. And so that was a little unexpected, and not really what I was thinking was going to happen immediately after this fight, was that they were, on the brink of war, right, except, for some savvy negotiation by Steris. So that was a little surprising for sure.
And it really sets a stage that it makes me interested to see, like, what is the political situation between these two groups going to be like in the next book? Because, like, maybe it goes really well. Yeah.
Right.
Because of that trade agreement. Exactly. Maybe that's like the first step and it's going to go really well, or maybe they'll be like on the brink of war when we start the next book or something. And so it'll.
Yeah. Maybe it's because I was recently watching Black Panther because the new one's coming out, but yeah. Their kind of system, at least the way it's described to me, sounds like maybe they have like kind of a Wakanda system where they have a bunch of different tribes that like get along but don't necessarily get along within their society. So my wonder is, like, is one of those tribes going to side with like the Set, or I guess not even the Set, if this weird Trell immortal decides that they don't need the Set anymore, since it sounds like they're going to destroy all humanity. But if one tribe kind of sides with these Trell peoples, and then the other side ends up siding with our peoples, that'd be interesting to see.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, even not thinking about them, but like the basin here is on the brink of civil war in this book. Like, there's all this this hostility between Elendil and the outer cities. So it's like, does suddenly having another nation existing out here, does it unite them, or do some of the outer cities start being like, well, maybe we want to side with this other nation, maybe they'll treat us better? Yeah,
definitely. But a lot of interesting possibilities for sure. So I don't know how big this last book's going to be, if it's going to be similar length to the three that we've read, because these have kind of been shorter than the Era 1 Mistborn books. So I'd be interested to know if this one's quite a bit longer. Maybe it will have time to wrap up a lot of things and have a good, like, lengthy story to it. That'd be interesting.
I feel like it must, like, based on the preview chapters that have come out, like, it's up to like chapter 15 or 14 or something like that, and it doesn't feel to me like we're halfway through that book, which is it would be halfway through if it was the same length as one of these chapter wise. So from what I'm seeing, I feel like it's gonna be longer. I don't know how much longer, but I feel like it must be
a meteor when I'm MEATER, or wow, I can't even spell. I was talking about meat, food, not like the thing from the
Oh,
sky.
I thought you were gonna be like a meteor just crashes and kills everybody, and that's the end of the book.
No, it's going to be a meatier book, book with more meat on it. Is meteor not a word? Should I say more meat?
I think meteor is a word. Yeah.
Meteor is a word.
Okay, cool.
Admittedly,
not-
I did go
it's-
to the rock first.
Right, it's not Final Fantasy VII where there's going to be a giant meteor crashing to the Earth. I haven't made a Final
Oh.
Fantasy reference in a while, so I gotta put that in there.
Remember how we used to make all those jokes about Sazed riding a comet off into the cosmos, and that was how
Yeah.
Yeah.
maybe
Right.
that's how this one ends, like Trell riding a comet into the planet.
That'd be interesting. He's got to have some black materia on him.
Here, bitches.
Another reference. There we go. Got a couple of them in there for you guys. We just need Tensun back to make our Red 13, and we got everything going. Or an Inaki for the deep cutters.
So no, I was really happy with the ending of this book, and I think I agree with Dax what Dax said rather at the very start of his, that like it was a satisfying conclusion. I think even though we haven't concluded the what is it, a tetralogy? So we've got there at the beginning. Even though we haven't actually finished it, I really felt like this story did wrap up the three. Like there were enough things that you're like, oh, well, we didn't resolve that. Oh, we didn't resolve that. We didn't resolve that. But if there was never another book, I would be okay knowing that things were going to happen after this. And if I never read them, I would be okay. Now, having heard Joe then start talking about Kelsia, because I completely forgot about that. I normally read like the morning of, but I was too excited, and I was in Sydney last week when we recorded, and I listened to it on the way home. So it's been a full week since I've been in the story, and I'm learning that no, I really do need to read it very close to. So bear with me today. Yeah, obviously there are things that we want to read, and I was thinking about, we still don't know where these women are. Like that's still bugging me, but maybe I'll just never get the answer to that. I think the next book's going to be really exciting, and I do like that we've kind of had these bad guys there from the beginning. It hasn't been like they're a secret the whole time and then boom, all of a sudden you've got this big bad guy at the end. I do like that we've kind of been building to it, but I really liked that. I felt like these stories were really they could stand on their own as long as you knew enough about the characters and the players involved. You could pick up any one of these and get a story that was good. Like I really liked that. Whereas I felt like when we first read Final Empire and you'd said that it kind of stands alone, I was like, no, it doesn't. I don't feel this was a standalone story at all. But with these ones, it's like the continuing adventures of Wax and Wayne kind of situation. And I like that the stories sort of span quite a short time frame from start to finish of the novel. It's all happening quite quickly. Yeah. So I guess that's my thoughts sort of overall. I was stoked that Wax sort of had that personal growth and that he's now ready to marry Steris and that they got their wedding. And I was very happy because I was definitely rooting for that. I was like, don't let us wait another book for that. Yeah, a bit of uneasiness about these two nations now. But I thought, yeah, Alec and Marasai was quite cute as well. I think she deserves to find someone nice. So you never know. Maybe we'll see them, those two again together. Steris is definitely more than a 7 on the useful scale. I don't know why she only gives herself a 7. She's very, very good. Telson leaving as well. I thought that was good. I was happy with that prediction. I did not see Suit not making it out of here. I did think, and I think I said it the last episode, I think he would die before he gave anything up, but I didn't expect it to be someone going, yep, okay, well, we don't need you anymore, bye. Off you go. Yeah, I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. I think there was, enough tidying up and then, actually letting us digest the climax of the book before we got to the epilogue, I think was really good as well. And I think that's probably what makes it feel a little bit more to me, that if we never got any more story in the Wax and Wayne set, then I'd be okay with it. Like, there's questions, but I'm okay.
Yeah.
But lucky we do, so it's fine.
Exactly, yeah. But I like the way you put that. That was also, I agree with I did not expect them to be like, yeah, we don't need you anymore, Suit. See you later. And it's like, wow, okay, he's been our bad guy for a while now, and we never even really knew him all that well. So to just like chuck him now, that's interesting.
Yeah, so we kind of was like, oh, Suit's the big bad, and then I was like, hang on a minute, Telson actually trumps him. Oh, okay. And so now you've taken out him. I wonder what happens to Telson, whether she's going to get taken out separately. Obviously, they can find her. It'll be interesting to see if we see her again. We know she's gone, as in run away, but whether she's still on board with what they want to do or not, who even knows? Yeah, they've got their own Candra. Why do they have red eyes? And I mean, what Dak was saying, we didn't get, Ray Lure getting his spike back and being able to tell the story, but I think that's probably going to tie into the next book. I expect we've not seen the end of Ray Lure.
Yeah, hopefully not. I want to see him again. We haven't actually met him in any way because he was just kind of insane and they told us about him. So I'd like to see him.
Yeah, we need to hear his ramblings more succinctly, I think. And if I was to make a prediction now, I think it would be that he's going to provide some of the information that actually continues their investigation for sure.
But the red eyes, I was like, that's not a good disguise. If you're going to have red eyes, maybe they don't always have the red eyes, but that's
it's just like how they identify themselves to each other. It's like, oh, you've got red eyes. I know who you are. Yeah, good.
Me too. I also have red eyes. What a coincidence. But yeah, that part ends even without the blowing up of Suit, where it's like, yeah, I think we're just gonna kill everybody on this planet instead. So yeah, okay, see you later. That's that doesn't bode well.
No.
Okay, I guess let's get into these chapters. That was a longer than usual, and everybody got a pretty deep into things in the what did you think of these chapters? So
that's the end of the book.
Yeah, exactly. We need more time to chew on the whole thing. And it's the end of the currently released Mistborn stuff too, so that's just exacerbates it.
I mean, we're officially up to date on Mistborn, so there you go.
Look at you guys, you're all caught up. In fact, while we were talking, I was mathing it, and we are now at 39% of the total Cosmere stuff that's been written. So we've read that's approaching half of everything that has so far been written in the Cosmere.
And watch that number get sucker punched when we get 4 new books next year.
Yeah.
Only 3 of those are Cosmere, if I recall correctly.
Oh, that's
but
right, yeah.
Also the Lost Metal's coming out, so that'll once again.
Still 4 books.
Yeah.
That's true. You're gonna have to tell me on that non-Cosmere book if I can go ahead. You're gonna have to read it first, and then let me know if I can read it because I signed up for the starter Kickstarter.
You guys can't. You guys can't read non-Cosmere books because those are on the list also.
Okay.
Because Dak asked about what was it, the
Legion?
Skyward? Maybe it was Legion. Yeah. And I was like, no, we're reading all of those are on the list. We're just getting to them after Cosmere stuff.
Did we join the Kickstarter, Dak?
Yeah, we did.
We did? Okay.
Yeah, we're getting them all.
Cool.
I'm really getting the books. I didn't sign up for any of the merch.
No.
So yeah, that'll go down soon. But anyway, as of what's today? So yeah, as of like just over a week from now, that new book's coming out. Joe and I will be there for the excitement.
That's right. We'll be there at the thing, and I won't be able to read it. It's gonna be great.
It's possible.
Everyone else will be up to date, and you'll be the only person there who hasn't read it.
Yep, he may end up reading a bit of it or something as part of the release. I don't know. We'll have to see.
You'll have to leave.
Yeah, well, I was about to say if he does, I'm sure it'll just be.
I can read it without context. It's fine. I'll just won't commit anything.
I'm sure
to
it would be from the beginning of the book, like the first chapter or two. In which case, it's like okay, everybody can read the first chapter or two. You'll have forgotten by the time you come back and read it anyway. So.
Exactly.
I'm
gonna remember.
I'm just imagining you walking around the con like that episode of How I Met Your Mother, where like they had to miss the Super Bowl, so they were trying to deliberately like not hear the results so they could watch it, and he had like the earmuffs with the eye goggles thing on.
Yeah. No, I've thought about bringing. I mean, I'm definitely gonna bring my earbuds, and I'm gonna have them at the ready. And then I've also thought about just like bringing a blindfold just in case.
I'm sure Joe's gonna see a lot of things, but he won't have any context for any of it. So
yeah, again, people are probably gonna think I'm cosplaying Spook, and I'll be like, get the fuck away from me.
So yeah, I mean, and you're gonna see all those same things with probably cosplayers walking around and stuff also. But yeah, I mean, you have no idea what any of it means, so it's okay.
Right. The only character name I know that we haven't read yet is Kaladin because somebody named their son Kaladin, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what that means, but thanks.
That is a character. Yep.
Somebody I know named their son Kaladin, so I was like, oh, cool name. What's it from? And they were like, oh, it's from a Brandon Sanderson book. And I was like, oh, really? And then I told him about the podcast, and I don't think he listens. But, you know, he's a person in my life that knows that I do it and is aware of the content.
Maybe when we start Stormlight Archive, you can be like, hey, we're talking about your kid. You should listen.
Wait, so like he's got a Caledon, but in the other book he had Galadon?
It's not Caledon. It's like Kalladin. Kaladin.
Oh, okay.
I think I just spelled that wrong, but it gives you the correct impression.
Right. Yep.
It's like Aladdin, but with a K at the beginning.
It is kind of like Aladdin, although I think there's only one L. That's where I messed that up.
Yeah, one L.
Anyway, is there only one L in Aladdin? Sorry.
No, there's two. There's two L's.
I think it's one L,
two
two
D's. Yep. Okay.
Oh yeah. There's only one D in Kaladin though, right?
There's only one D in Kaladin.
All
We're
right,
gonna do anything
good.
not to actually get into the book and finish this one.
This is the really content the listeners have come for.
I was about to say, this is what people come for. They like it.
Yeah, no. We even got some Final Fantasy references in earlier.
Hey, yeah, and don't even worry about it. I'll throw some more out for you. Ultimisia.
People playing, Sanderlanche bingo. Haven't been able to mark that one in a while.
How many? Well, hold on. Before we get into it, how many bad guys can you name from the Final Fantasy series?
Oh, series? I haven't played all that many of those games.
Okay, so let's do number one. Number one is Garland. He's the main bad guy. Number two, I actually don't remember the name. That's fine. And number three is just called the Sorceress, I'm pretty sure. Number four, we got, what's his name? I can't remember. Number five, I don't remember. Six is Kefka. Everybody loves Kefka. Number seven is Sephiroth, obviously. Eight, Ultimisia. 9, Kuja. 10, Sin.
Sure.
That one's easy.
Yeah, Sin. Yeah.
I never played the 11 MMO.
10-2.
Yeah. 12
10-2.
is some knight's name. I can't remember his name. 13. I don't remember. I don't know. All right, that's enough.
Who's the bad guy in X2?
The bad guy in X2? Yourself, I guess. I don't know. Vegnagun / Shuian.
I got Sephiroth.
Yeah, there you go. Sephiroth and Genova.
That's the only one you need to know to be friends with me.
I remember Kadaj from that adventure.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
It was basically Sephiroth
which
or something in the end. I don't know. It's confusing.
I didn't get this. So spoilers for Final Fantasy VII Remake if you haven't played it. I didn't realize this, but Data, the three color dudes that you fight at the end on the bridge, they represent Kadaj and his two guys from Advent Children. They use the same weapons as Kadaj and the two guys from the end of Advent Children. So I did not put that together. I found that out on the internet.
Huh. All right.
So that's a thing.
I'm still in the middle of my replay that I was just playing today. The part in Shinra headquarters. I got to talk to.
Oh, dude, that's a great part. Domino's is the best.
Yeah, I like the mayor. He's fun. Anyway, to the chapters. So we come and Marisai and Alec are hanging out, sharing a canteen of chalk, and watching as Wax pulls the airship out of the sky with his superpowers.
Pause. This is just hot chocolate, right? Like that's what it is.
Pretty sure, yeah.
I think so.
Okay. That makes sense.
I love how addicted she gets to it. She's like, oh my shit, this is the best thing ever.
Well, it sounds like they've never made milk chocolate. It sounds like they only have like bitter regular chocolate.
Yeah. Because that's what she said. She's like, this isn't bitter at all. How do you do this?
Yep. It's just a simple little thing, but I really enjoyed that. I thought that was a lovely touch.
Yep. I like the part where she's like, Wax, you got to invest in this stuff. Forget airships. This is going to be big. And I was just saying in one of the recordings that I've been doing, reading the preview chapters, I'm like, the thing I'm most interested in, did Wax actually invest? Did he listen to her? Because I agree, it's going to be big.
She gives me real Deanna Troi vibes with how much she likes this chocolate stuff.
That's true. Big fan of chocolate, Deanna.
Oh my god, could you imagine like the stock market? It's like Wayne's electricity empire going up against Wax's hot chocolate empire.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then they come out with a product together, which is basically the Keurig that makes hot chocolate with little cups.
Oh my god. How the war was won against Trill. Hot chocolate machines.
There you go.
Yeah, caffeine and chocolate.
But I just like the picture.
Everyone
of
was
Wax.
just happier.
Yeah. I mean, who wouldn't be?
Yeah, wouldn't you be?
I like the picture of Wax. In my mind, he's like pulling an invisible rope and like just tugging the airship down a little bit at a time. And Alex like, is it gonna break apart? And Marissa's like, nah, he usually knows what he's doing. It's fine. When they start talking about the chocolate, and she's like, Alec, this is the most wonderful thing I've ever experienced, and I just held the power of creation themselves.
Say's just so we're just going, hey, the fuck?
He's like, milk chocolate, you say? Maybe I'll make a cow that produces chocolate milk.
And he retorts being like, he's careful. I mean, it seems to me like he's really good at breaking things. And Marissa says like, well, yeah, but he does it with really amazing precision. So it's okay. And so like he gets the ship down, and the guys start like coming out, and Alex people start going on the ship. And then there starts to be, you know, kind of a confrontation. I like that Wax has tied Suit to the tip of, or the top of the Lord Ruler's spear. He's just dangling there, gagged. I love it. And Wax uses, since he's got all the powers right now, he uses leeching to take away his uncle's metals. That was smart. But
I think that's also just a bit of a dig, considering his uncle was bragging about it last time.
Exactly, yeah. But I find it an interesting note that they're like, we're not sure that we can remove the spikes without killing him. So we've seen spikes removed before, and like removing a certain one definitely killed the Inquisitors. But I'm just like,
the control spike.
Yeah, how much has it changed his body that it's like if we pull one out, it might kill him?
Well, I was about to say, didn't Vin rip one out of Marsh's head, but Marsh specifically had a healing spike, so that probably doesn't count.
Well, it was just the one specific, like he was like, you have to separate the spikes in the head from the ones below it, and there's the one spike in the back that like connects the two together, and that's how Marsh killed all the other Inquisitors, was like pulling that one spike.
Yeah,
true.
That was probably the most metal part of any Mistborn book, when he just like starts ripping spikes out of people's backs.
So
I think get to see it.
I think you can remove one of the upper ones without killing them. Is the upshot of that? Yeah. So Wax and Steris are out there, and here comes the captain. And Mare says, yeah, come on, we probably better go help in some way. And so the captain is just like, thanks for your help, but just helping us doesn't mean that you can steal our shit. And Wax is not really in a negotiating mood. It says he replies coldly that I don't see any of your property here. I only see an artifact that we recovered. Well, that and my airship. Which, damn, that's bold to be like, this is my airship. Screw you guys. And she does not take that well. She's like, look, since we crashed here, my crew gets imprisoned, tortured, and murdered, and you seem to be just itching for war. And Wax is like, well, I mean, if there's going to be war, I probably shouldn't give you a super powerful weapon, should I? Which is a fair point.
Yep, fair point.
Yep. Unless, of course, war were declared.
There's your bingo card, Futurama reference.
I almost said earlier, yeah, you have to have a Futurama quote or something on another one of those spots.
Yeah.
And so he's just like, I'm not giving y'all shit. I salvaged this ship. I'm the one who pulled it out of the sky. You wouldn't have it if it weren't for me. Also, our people dug it up from where it crashed here however long ago. And also, the bands are not yours. There was nothing in the temple. We found them. They're ours. And finally, Steris is like, dude, I think you should probably let him have the ship. I mean, how else are they going to get home? But he doesn't want to give the set an advantage. He's like, the set has one of these ships to study. We need the same advantage. Although I feel like now that you've revealed it, if you contact like the governor of Elendel, you should be able to send troops to secure that crashed ship. It's not like they can fly that one away. Maybe that's just me. And so what Steris and Marisi start to try to suggest is, why don't we, compromise? Let's set up trade. We can buy airship technology from them, and in exchange we can give them access to our allomancers, which they don't have that many of, and is a very valuable commodity for them. And I do love the part where Alex wait, what? When Marisi mentions offhand that she's an allomancer, she's like, oh yeah, me too. Didn't you see me charging that cube device? And he's like, oh, great one. And the captain says that the Malwish are but one of many. Another nation among us may see you up here as weak and decide to strike. So yeah, that goes with what Joe was saying, that it seems like there's maybe a bunch of different camps down there.
Different factions.
And and Steris is like, well, then you might want to let all those people know that we have the Bands of Mourning ready to fight. And the captain's like, no, we're not going to give you the Sovereign's weapon. And Steris says, you're not giving it to us. You're going to give it to, and it's like they decide, or they propose that the Kandra could be like neutral parties here and could keep it safe, which I don't know how neutral I feel they are. They seem to, in our experience, to be kind of aligned with Wax and Co.
Only because Harmony is telling him to.
It's true.
Like the minute Harmony says, yeah, you know what, guys, he's good. Like, Milan, you can go join him for drinks, but that's it.
That's fair. And they say, like, oh, your people have stories of creatures like her, right? And I'm not sure that we get confirmation of that. Like,
that's a good point.
She makes her skin translucent, and that is impressive to people. But I don't think anyone ever says, like, yeah, we know we've heard of Kandra, or, shape-shifting immortals or whatever. And the captain's not happy about this, but Steris kind of manages to convince them. It's like, you'll have new trading partners. Also, did I mention that Wax here is an important government official and that he could have an influence on stuff like tariffs and taxation, trade? Like, you guys could get real rich off this, although we don't know what you use for money, so maybe not. And finally, the captain's like, fine, we'll do it. Not like we have much choice. And Wax is like, oh, can I get one more thing? Can we just get a ride home? Because it's really far. But it works out because they've got all these prisoners from the set, and the Southerners don't want to take them all the way back to the South with them. So, although Wax is careful not to mention that that one is his uncle, don't want to give them reasons to doubt your sincerity. And so he's like, the Airedale and the Senate are not going to like this deal, especially the part where we give away the Bands of Mourning. And Marisai says, I know. And he goes, as long as you can tell him it wasn't my idea. Wax is getting in enough trouble already, because if you'll recall, you guys may have forgotten, although it does get mentioned here again, that he's been accused of murdering an important noble in the outer cities, and it may be causing civil war all on its own. So yeah, don't need any other marks against him when he gets home. And so here's the part we find out Telsin and the Skimmer were gone, blood on the snow, but no sign of her. And Wax is kind of upset. He's like, man, Wayne should have known that she might be able to heal herself.
I mean, I'd be pretty mad too. She did kill him.
Yep. But I like Wax says that in some ways her getting away is better. And Marisai's like, oh, because your sister's not dead? And he's like, no, because now I have someone to hunt, which is a very dramatic ending to that chapter. I like it.
Well, it's very much she killed him, but now he can kill her right back.
And then we cut to the airship is now approaching the city. They've gotten their ride home, and Wayne is very impressed by the view from up here. And Wax is like, I mean, I say that stuff all the time, dude. I do like the line about that window opens, and Wayne's like, any window opens if you push hard enough, which I feel like Wax did that earlier to that lady's hotel. So
didn't he do that in the last book to his father-in-law's place? He just bashed the window through.
Yep.
Wax, since when did you start respecting people's property?
Exactly.
Maybe he got sued a few too many times for destruction of property.
Right.
He
deserved it.
He's worried about his behavior now that he's accused of murder.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, we're suspicious of you because you supposedly killed this woman. Also, you broke a fountain or something. That's going to fuck you up.
And so, let's see. They talk about it, and Wayne feels bad for these people who've been tortured, and he says they've been broken. Ain't fair what happened to them. And Wax says, I mean, is life ever fair? And Wayne says, it has been to me. More than fair, I reckon, considering what I deserve. Which, yeah, okay. And he's like, you used a gun. And that was a shotgun. Barely counts.
Wait, so he has a scale?
Right? Exactly. And so he's like, you knew that she'd be able to heal, right? And he's like, well, I didn't want to kill somebody in cold blood. And Wax goes, that's good, I suppose. There weren't no fire around to light her with first.
I'll pay that. That was a good one.
Yeah, right. But no, it's actually a really sweet moment when he's like, I thought, what would Wax do? Like, would Wax kill her, or would he give her another chance like he gave me? And so I intentionally, didn't kill her. I just had to shoot her enough to get what I needed, basically. And Wax is like, good job, Wayne. You're learning. You've got some character development happening. But on the inside, he's like, I really wish that Wayne had murdered her. And then, best part of the chapters, where Wayne starts talking crap about Steris again, and Wax is like, Wayne, enough. And he's like, I was just enough. And Wayne's like, okay.
Good. Finally.
Yeah, absolutely something Wax should have done before this. Then he goes in and finds Steris, and they get another cute moment where he's like, "Thank you for coming with me." And she's like, "I didn't do much." He's like, "I mean, you were really helpful at the party, and you basically negotiated." Yeah, because apparently, I don't know if Wax is not good at negotiation or if he just didn't care to try, but he was about to start a war out here, being like, "No, my ship, my business, screw you guys."
He's
Wax
he's
is
a long
the-
one from the roughs. I guess he's just not into negotiating.
He needed her,
Wax needs to learn to
100%.
read the room.
Yes, thank you. That was a good way of putting that.
Yeah, to be fair, like, yes, he absolutely does, but on that particular day as well, it's like he was dead like half an hour before.
Yeah,
So it's like, emotionally, he's had a very trying day.
has not been his best day, that's for sure. Not only was he dead, his sister killed him, more or less. So
Yeah.
And then his best friend killed his sister. And then
messed up family.
Yeah, it's a real Shakespearean mess.
Yeah. And he bear hugged his uncle to defeat.
yeah.
He rode him like a surfboard through the sky. It was great.
You feel that in your face, Edwin? Wahoo! Nooch!
Oh man, Clerks animated. That's not a thing you revisit all that often. Okay. So there's a very impressive bit where they land the airship just really coolly on the top of this tower with like half of it hanging off, but it's sitting there perfectly. And they've offered to send them home with supplies for their trip, so that's nice. And then he gives Marasai, or Alec rather, gives Marasai his mask as they're kind of saying goodbye to each other. And it makes kind of a stir among his own people, but we have no idea what it means necessarily. Clearly it's significant though. And Alec's like, "Hey, I'm looking forward to going home, but I might take you up on your offer after that to come back and visit." And she says, "As long as you bring more chalk, you are welcome to visit anytime." See, Alec is just going to become like the chocolate millionaire on their end of things.
Yeah, he's the guy that, like, at the beginning of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, he's the Candyman. Candyman can. He's got, like, long jellies for people to eat and stuff.
The captain gave Wax some of the medallions so they could have some of those. And he also thinks Wayne probably stole some, but he's not going to ask until the ship is gone. He doesn't want to feel obliged to give them back. That's a little bit shady, Wax, I got to say. And this is where Mara says, like, seriously, Wax, you got to import the chocolate. Like,
She sounds like she's got an issue. Like, she needs to go and talk to somebody.
No, I'm telling you, she
Right.
sounds like Deanna Troi in TNG, who's, like, obsessed with chocolate.
well, it's just, if you've never had good chocolate before, then it would be life-changing.
I guess that's true. Like, what's your favorite chocolate, Jamie?
Oh,
Tough question.
it is a tough question. I don't mind a Turkish delight chocolate.
I was going to say it's
Yeah,
probably Turkish
so
delight.
imagine you're an adult. I mean, you are an adult, but
Yeah, the whole
imagine you'd never had it and you're having it for the first time.
It's true.
Just imagine the second part. You don't have to imagine the adult part because you're already there.
Oh, man.
Like the first time I had a Carmelo, actually no, let me take that back. The first time I had
Carmelo
a
is good.
the first time I had a Mars bar because I like those better. I was like, man, this is good. So
Like the Mars bars from like Europe or
yeah, so the chocolate box here in town gets imported like candies. So that's my favorite candy. It's basically like a better version of a Milky Way. It's really good.
it's like a Milky Way but better, yeah.
Yeah.
The Mars bar.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we get
Yeah,
Mars
it's like the
bars.
Milky Way with the caramel in it and the chocolate on the outside.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but we
pretty
get
good. A Mars
we have a
bar's
lot
pretty
of we have a lot
Yep.
of European candies that just have other names here. So
Right. Yeah. Milky Way is the name for Mars bar, but it's not
So-
as good.
Yeah, we get them both.
Yeah.
interesting.
good. Milky
And
Way is
then-
different.
Oh, is it? I think
Yeah,
the only
it's-
difference for us is the nougat's
It's the
a different
caramel.
flavor.
Do you have caramel in your Milky Way?
Yes. Yeah. we do.
Yes.
Oh, we don't.
Ours doesn't.
Okay.
Is
So
it
yeah,
just nougat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
our
So that's-
Milky Way is pretty much identical to what your Mars bar would be like. Only I think it's
Yeah.
the chocolate is my opinion that's better in the Milky Way.
Both.
Mars
Yeah,
version.
but I think your version of a Milky Way would be our Three Musketeers.
Yeah, we don't have that.
Yes, that's true. The
Oh,
European Milky
okay.
Way is I've been trying random because they have a selection of non-US candy at the place at our mall, and I tried a Curly Whirly last time, which
Oh yeah, was it good?
it's not bad.
Yeah.
I've been reading about
That was
marathon
pretty good.
bars, and like Curly Whirly is basically what the marathon bar used to be before it was discontinued. So I was like, I gotta try this.
Gotcha. I would be interested to know if anybody made like an original Three Musketeers, because they were called that because it used to have different flavored nougats. It had vanilla, strawberry, chocolate, and then chocolate is what they ended up landing on for the rest of forever or whatever. So I'd be interested in trying one that has like a vanilla nougat. That sounds kind of good.
Interesting.
But anyway.
Yeah.
This has been the candy bar section of the podcast.
Not sponsored by Mars.
Yeah, not sponsored by Mars or Hershey's or any of those things, but could be.
I like Twix.
Oh, Twix are good.
Twix are good.
Yeah, I like Twix. Twix bars are not considered chocolate bars; they're considered cookies because they got a cookie in them.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a little shortbread cookie in the bar, so they call them cookies.
They started that campaign a while back, like a couple years ago or whatever, where they're like left Twix or right Twix. And at first I was like, that's silly and dumb. All the commercials were kind of fun, but now I only eat right Twix.
Weird. I'm an equal opportunity Twix eater.
Twix is
But
Twix.
if you flip it around, is it the same?
Yeah, I know.
That's the joke.
It's just the ad campaign that they decided to go with.
Right.
It's creative and funny and
Okay.
stuff. So. But I like Wayne is like, hey Marissa, I think that pilot guy fancies you, and she's like, yeah, good job, Wayne.
No shit.
And like Sheriff is like, hey, that could be good politically, actually, if you guys. And Marissa says, he's like a kid, stop it. And here comes Governor Aradel, who we met last book before he was even governor, and he just walks up and he's like, damn. And Wax's like, yeah, man, I warned you. And Aradel's like, maybe this will distract everyone from the disaster you guys started in New Suran. Senate's had my balls over the fire for 2 days straight.
I like how he gets embarrassed. He said that in front of ladies here in a second. He's just like,
He's
oh, sorry.
Apologies, Lady Harms. And apparently Wax, when he sent a message ahead to warn Aradel that they were going to show up in an airship, he asked for something else, and Aradel's like, yeah, it's down below in the penthouse. And apparently, I neglected to mention, but Wax owns like a controlling interest or something in this skyscraper that they've landed on. So
he's not getting sued.
Yeah, he gets to have the penthouse without having to worry about it.
You can't park here.
You can get a ticket.
Oh, I used to work in a building that was an apartment building with shops underneath.
Ooh.
And even though like we rented the shop and absolutely were able to park, we had the lady who ran the body corporate would just come out and like yell at our customers for parking. There's no visitor spots. Why have shops underneath? If no one's allowed to park here, you're on the middle of a busy road. Like, where are they going to go? And just she'd stand at the front yelling at people. It was really outrageous.
Yeah, that's not good for your customer retention.
Not ideal. No.
But Wax is like, no, it'll be fine. We've already got initial trade treaties in place, favorable for us in trade, so that should make the Senate happy. And he's like, the Senate's not going to like that I'm just letting the airship fly away, which I think when you put it like, well, if we kept it, it would be war with people who have far superior technology to us as far as these things go. I think that would settle things maybe. But it's like, what about the Bands of Mourning? He's like, oh, Melon, will you come over? And she does her thing. He's like, it is so not fair that you guys get to just fall back on heavenly messengers to talk you out of trouble.
He's like, Aradel, it's Chinatown, man.
Well, it's like I just instantly flashed back to the last time Aradel saw her, which when she was trying to work out, hey, how do I hang myself?
Yeah, that's true. I'd forgotten that.
So I was just imagining like she walks over and he's just gone, oh God, not again.
Not this again. And then Wax is just like, hey, that's nothing. Ask me about the conversation I had with God the last time I died, and then walks off. Star's like, that was mean, dude. Nonsense. He's a politician now. He needs to practice being thrown off balance. And so they go down, and there's a priest there. A survivorist priest wearing his formal mist cloak, which I like that's their uniform. And he asks Daenerys if she will marry him. He's like, this is not like last time when it was like a contract, and you were marrying me for the name and I was marrying you for money. This is like, I want to be married to you. I'm tired of being alone. And you're incredible. You truly are. It's very sweet. And she starts crying. And he's like, is that a good crying or bad crying? And she's like, well, this wasn't on any of my lists, you see. But I can't remember the last time I missed something on my list and it was this wonderful.
It's a great moment.
Aw.
Yeah, it's very sweet. I feel like maybe you should have invited her sister or her dad to be here. I'm just saying.
Nah.
Yeah, but then you got to invite Wayne as well, and like, who needs him
Yeah.
popping up just going, hey, so is that coachman arrangement still on the table?
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And I feel like for this kind of stuff, Wax is a more private dude.
Yeah. It is interesting, though, because we know how Wax was not ready in the middle of that last wedding. And so Wayne says, like, oh, deep down, Wax will thank me for having ruined the wedding. And in a way, maybe that's true, because he was not ready to get married then, and he kind of needed Wayne to ruin that wedding. So that they could have
That's
this.
a bit of a reach.
Yeah.
Oh, but I think though everything worked out the way it was meant to. Whereas it might have been different. Like if he had
Yeah.
gone through with the wedding and not been ready for
Yeah.
it, well then
Just
we
as
hear stuff
harmony
saying-
intended.
And I'm
I see your point that yes, like their relationship evolved to a point where he was ready for it, yes, but the actual act of Wayne ruining the wedding, I still don't think deserves praise.
well, and
No.
at the time, and I mean, yeah, the way he did it and what he did was not good. But at the time, we're just like, this is Wayne being selfish. But in hindsight, it makes me wonder if maybe he knows Wax so well that he was serious when he's like, no, I know that like Wax will thank me for this, basically, is what he says. And I'm like, maybe he knew what Wax was feeling better than Wax did and realized that he needed to do something. He did it in the worst Wayne way possible, but
He started
Maybe.
with a good intention and then just completely went off the rails with it. It's
Yeah.
like you probably could have sat your friend down and gone, hey, I don't think this is where you're at.
But I
It
mean,
might have been a reasonable response, but we are talking about Wayne. Not to say he was right, but he knows his friend. And I think deep down he cares for his friend. I mean, not so deep down. Obviously, he killed his friend's sister sort of because of that. But he looks out for Wax. Wax is that one person in the world that's done right by him and looked after him and I guess forgiven him rather, not so much done right by, but forgiven him. And Wax is probably the most important thing to him. So yeah, I agree with you. I think that he's definitely picked up that he's not ready, and then he's gone in Wayne style to do something about it, that's a whole other issue.
he's gone and waned it.
yeah, but like by the same token, it's like at the end of this, it's like, oh yeah, now I'm ready to be in this relationship. And I think, okay, well, if Wayne hadn't interrupted the wedding, would the rest of the book have played out as it had? While the Kandra were hunting him and trying to get him to do shit. So it probably would have still played out in at least a very similar way, and then
Yeah.
Steris still would have behaved as she did in this book. So they might, so even though they were already married and it might have been a bit of an awkward wedding, they might still be in this position of ready to be in this relationship by the end of the book. So I don't think the wedding getting ruined was still such a perfect thing. I think they probably still would have ended up in the same spot they're in now.
It's possible.
They
but-
might
I mean, yeah, but at the same time, I think it's the first wedding getting ruined is more of a win for Steris because she gets to know before he says I do. She gets to know he really, really, really wants to be with me. It's not, she never has to have that thing in the back of her mind. Well, he grew to love me, but at first he just said yes because of the position and the money and because he felt obligated and all this other stuff. She gets to know.
Yeah, that's fair.
She gets to know, like, no, he wanted me. He said, he wanted to get married to me.
Well, I think you guys may be making an assumption that he would have said yes. Like he starts having almost like a little panic attack. He's like, I can't do this. I can't go through with this. He might have said like turned and run or been like no when he gets asked if he'll marry her. And that would have led things in a very different direction because then he's humiliated her in front of the entire city, basically.
True.
But yeah, we'll never know. But it worked out better in the end. That's the main thing, regardless of how we got here, I guess. So we go. That's the end of the chapters, and we run into the epilogue where Marisai's writing some stuff up, and there's a weird little thing about like the primordial nature of fire versus electric lights, which seems kind of strange here, but whatever. Suit did not break, but a lot of his men talked. They'd been recruited from dissident young men in the outer cities, and filled with stories of the survivor and his fight against Imperial rule. They're studying the speaking machine that Wax stole from Kelisina's mansion, so maybe by the next book there'll be telephones or something hanging around.
Something clicked to me. When was it the last book when Wax was speaking to Harmony, and Harmony's like, oh, man, you guys don't even have the radio yet. I fucked up because you don't have the radio. And then here we are not long after, it's like, oh, they do. So was that something that Trell just obscured from Harmony's sight that he couldn't see? They've actually got this tech. Everybody
doesn't have the radio, and maybe it hadn't been invented at that time. This is like the first place that we've seen it.
Yeah, I guess, but it's not that long. And it's like they went, if it hadn't been invented by that point, that's a very quick time to go from inventing prototypes to having them distributed amongst the set's leadership.
True. Yeah. Maybe they're working on, they got a whole tech arm working on this kind of thing. Who knows?
You've got the whole division of mental speed guys working on how to fix problems.
They have a Hydra within, like, the set.
Yeah, their deep science wing. Maybe if Trell is really from a different planet, then Trell is, like, giving them knowledge of technology that they don't have.
He says, look at this thing, this amazing gift I have granted you. They look at it like, why does it say made in Taiwan? He's like, they misspelled Trell.
So, look at this amazing technology. Did you wait? The instructions say this is run on possum blood. Yeah, I got it from some guys.
We're gonna have to fell off the back of a pickup truck run by like two hillbillies were driving it.
Yeah.
Marisai is found all these little threads among what they're saying, tales of men with red eyes who visit in the night to talk about Trell, and she's like, I'm gonna find answers to this, and that's the end of her bit.
Visitors, like, so you open the door like at midnight and there's these two dudes with red eyes on doorstep. It's like, hello, do you have a minute to talk about our Lord and Savior Trell?
Exactly. What more do you need? And then we cut to another suit perspective, which is presumably the last one we'll get. And he's very proud of himself, like, oh, my captors think to shock me with the austerity of my quarters, like I've never slept on a stone slab before. Well, the set will be very pleased with me. I didn't break. And he's like, I'll turn this into my advantage also.
He's thinking himself real high right now.
Yep.
And since you brought it up last week, I just imagine all this in the Harley Quinn Bane voice. It's like, they think I have never slept on a stone slab before, but I will show them.
Indeed. They think they've defeated me with a simple slab.
It's not just that outrageous.
I'm not going to let it go now.
Yeah. Little did they know I was born on a slab. I was a man before I ever saw a bed. By then it was nothing to me but uncomfortable.
You think blankets are your allies?
You think a little fluffy pillow will make you a man?
Did you guys ever watch, like, it was like 10 years ago, there was some group on YouTube. They took all the footage of Bane from The Dark Knight Rises and they just dubbed it over with someone doing an impression of his voice, and they basically made him like a health food guru. Like the bit where he's like reading Gordon's speech on top of the tank, and instead it's like they've changed it to him. He's reading the lunch orders. And he's like, yes, turkey sandwich. Not sure about the lettuce. I would have gone with a mixed green. And then like he gets to one guy, he's like, pizza. How does this conform with your New Year's resolution? Think of all the processed foods. Gotham City's not even known for it. What are you doing?
There's a recurring Kevin Smith bit on, most prominently, his Edumacation podcast, where he does Bane as a stand-up comic. It's pretty funny.
How many podcasts does Kevin Smith have now?
I want to say at least like 7 or 8. He has a few projects that he's almost completely abandoned. Like he had one where he and Matt Myra reviewed episodes of Frasier called Talk Salad and Scrambled Eggs, but that one's like dead. They don't do it anymore.
That sounds fun. Now I want to watch that.
They only got through, I think they only got like halfway through like the first season. They really didn't get very far with it.
The project wasn't as fun as they thought, and so they gave up.
Well, I think he got busy because he got really busy. It was around the time he had his heart attack, and he got really busy after he had his heart attack.
Yeah. Sure. Speaking of, like, I watched Clerks 3.
I still haven't seen that.
Which is actually much better than I thought it was going to be. Like,
yeah,
genuinely a good movie. I'd say the best movie he's made in a while.
Better than the reboot, then. Jay and Silent Bob reboot, the ridiculousness of
Jay-
that.
Jay and Silent Bob reboot, I enjoyed it, but I acknowledge it's not a very good movie.
Yeah, it's bad.
But I bring up Clerks 3 because there's a bit in the middle where they're reading the script that Randall has written, and Randall's presenting himself as the Luke of the story that he's written, and Dante's going, "Does that make me Han?" And then let's go, "No, you're not really a Han." They're running in the list of all the characters in Star Wars, like that Dante represents, and Randall goes, "You know what? You're more of a Dak." And Dante just goes, "Who the fuck is Dak?" And I'm sitting there just going, "That's me, baby."
That's great. Someday I'll watch Clerks 3. I'm not in a hurry about it.
I actually really enjoyed it, and I think I'd happily watch it again. Like, it surprised me how it's like, oh, this is actually like really well done, and there's some really great writing bits in there.
Okay, sorry. Back to the Suit gets a visit from somebody with red eyes that he says mail this time, a beggar stolen off the street, he guessed. So I don't know if these are actual Kandra that are like evil or if it's something similar, but apparently they steal bodies of people, so that does sound very Kandra-y. The set had faceless immortals of its own.
It's like more like an Invasion of the Body Snatchers style thing, just to emphasize how wrong Trell is.
Yeah. And so the things like it is our understanding that you push for an acceleration. And Suit's like, hey, I'm just trying to set up a discourse. And they're impressed that he did not break or spill secrets. And so they're like, okay, the timeline will be accelerated as you have requested. And he's like, awesome, okay. And then the guy pulls out a bomb and he's like, our accelerated pace will no longer require the set to have its full hierarchy. And so apparently the idea was, according to this, that because Suit says you need us to rule and to manage civilization on. So apparently that was the plan, that they gave their loyalty to Trell and they were going to be made the ruling class when Trell took over. Like no huge shock there, I guess. Recent advances have made civilization here too dangerous, allowing to continue risks, advances we cannot control. So we've decided to remove life on this sphere instead. Thank you for your service.
Yeah. Which stifle, meatbag, you're dead now.
Which, like, well, the technology's gone too far. Let's just burn them all down. Like, holy fuck, Trell's playing for keeps now.
Yeah, it's not good. And then they explode. And I don't know if whatever this thing is can survive that. If it is an Invasion of the Body Snatchers type thing, maybe it can. I don't know. And that's when Wax wakes up. He's like, hey, was that an explosion? Whatever. And so he's in the penthouse of this skyscraper. They've been staying here for the honeymoon, and he's like, you know what? I think maybe we'll just stay here instead of going to the mansion. Like, this new world it's no longer an era of quiet mansions and smoking room conversations. It's bold skyscrapers and vibrant downtown politics. And he gets up and starts looking through his stuff that his manservant has laid out for him. And this is when finally, if we hadn't gotten an answer about this, the medallion or coin or whatever, I would have been upset. But he finds that coin. He's like, it's two different metals. Could this be one of those? One of them is Nicrocell, which gives you the investiture. The other is copper. And I think we probably all remember what a copper mine does. So,
baby.
Mm-hmm.
He taps it, and he immediately gets this vision. Somebody saved this memory of walking into this village with eyesight that's really weird because half of it is blue lines and half of it is normal. So somebody with a spike in his eye, I guess. And it's a very depressing, like, they've burned everything there was to burn. When he finds the people, they even burned their masks. They have like cloth masks now, which are the last things that they haven't burned for warmth. It says that like most people would find this just like mildly cold, but these people are freezing to death. And the person whose memory this is reaching out and whispering to these people. And Wax noticed that his arm has these scars all over it. And the one word that gets whispered is survive. That is the end of the book. Speaking as someone who read it then, it was very dramatic. And I mean, there was never a question in my mind, even though as far as I knew Kelsier was dead, that this was Kelsier. It's like, oh my gosh, Kelsier. But somebody that I was listening to that was actually, I used them as a model for what I'm doing with the patron only stuff, where they were reading some chapters and reacting to them. And I listened to them do this book. And this lady, when she got to this point, she's like, no, there's no way. That's not Kelsier. It's trying to trick me. This is going to be somebody else. She was just so determined that there was absolutely no way this could be Kelsier. And it kind of blew my mind because I was just like, I never questioned it, but she was just like
very
hardcore.
Heavily like implied.
Yeah.
To the point where it's like they've stated in everything but name. He's got the arm scars and he uses the word survive. Those are both like two of his biggest calling cards.
Yeah. So I was shocked that someone could be so like trying to come up with any other explanation. I'm like, but it's clearly Kelsier, right? Like, man. But yeah, if it's definitely a different experience when you had no clue that Kelsier was alive. So
yeah, sounds like a real muggle.
So I guess let's do some predigments. What I mean, if I hadn't already read the preview chapters, this is the time that I might even have been able to join in and be like, what do you think is going to happen? Where we're going?
I was going to ask you if you were going to do any.
Yeah, it wouldn't be fair since I know what happens in the first like 14 chapters of the next book now.
Oh, jeez, that's like half the book.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
It sounds like it's more like a third or a fourth.
Yeah. Oh, it's first, isn't it?
Actually, I will give you guys one slight spoiler to assist you in your predigging. There is a time jump, not like super huge, but a substantial time jump to the next book.
Substantial, huh? Talking about months or years?
We're definitely in the years category.
Wow.
Okay. Oh, is there a little Wax or a little Steris running around?
Whoa. Blow my mind.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not really sure where this story's going to go. Like, because, I mean, you know, we have that little note that Trell's coming to just burn the place down. I'm like, it was kind of Ruins thing. Are we just going to repeat that? So I hope that's not going to be the case, but it's definitely a distinct possibility. I think Telson is basically going to be to Trell what Marsh was to Ruin, as like the main avatar running around the planet. I really hope we see what happened with Raylua, because like that was a lot of fun. I feel like Marsh is going to have to show up now because they're going to wipe out life on the planet. Well, he is life on the planet, and he's probably one of the most powerful people on the planet at this stage.
Right.
So like surely he's going to have to get involved and try and help fight off this god. He's going to be like, oh god, not this shit again. But given the hint that like that massive thing of Kelsier showing up at the end, I'm just like, oh, are we going to see Kelsier come back as well? Because like that could be cool, seeing the two brothers, both of them alive long after they should be dead, both of them spiked, just going like, all right, let's fuck this god up.
That would be a badass tag team.
Yep. It's like, you know, both of them, they're still not quite happy with each other, but like they got to do what they do. But yeah, it's like another god coming to town. I'm just like, well, it's like there's got to be a shard. We still don't know which one. I think I mentioned observation as a possibility way back when, so I'm still kind of leaning towards that. But we really got no idea on that. And if they do die, well, someone gonna have to take up that power.
Mm-hmm.
And what's Hoyd's game in all this? Because like we've seen him and Kelsier encounter each other, and it was clear that they are not friends. So
no, yeah.
Here he is giving Kelsier's memories out to people. Like what's his end goal? Is he luring Trell here to try and steal the power of the shard himself? Because like that would be a fucking ending and a half.
That's really one of the better questions that it actually took me forever to reach that same question. Like, why is Hoyd handing out to Wax like Kelsier's memories? What is he trying to get here?
Yeah, I feel like he's trying to set it up so that like maybe Wax goes hunting for Kelsier and brings him here so that together they can destroy Trell, and then maybe Hoyd's like, and I'll take that, and takes the power of the shard.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Interesting thing that I hadn't actually thought of that much until you said it. But so do we? It's been 300 years. Do we think that like Marsh and Kelsier have resolved their differences?
I feel like both of them are too fucking stubborn.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like he says when he gives Marasai the book, it's like he does my brother's work, and he doesn't say it in like a bad way. So I feel like they're probably just mutually respecting one another, you know?
I mean, that's possible, but you could like mutually respect someone and what they're doing while still just stay the fuck away from me, okay?
Because say their primary fight seemed to be over a woman that's been dead for millennia at this point. So like, I don't know.
Centuries, and I don't think millennia.
Okay, my bad.
Be a long ass time. That's fair.
Yeah, I mean they don't necessarily get along as brothers, but they were on the same side. Like they were fighting for the same cause when
It's true.
Kelsier died the first time, and when Marsh was the bad guy because he was so corrupted by ruin. So if he's not in that space now, they might not be like working together. I think it's an interesting parallel that he's sort of seen as death, and now you've got
Kelsey
the
was
survivor
life.
coming back. Yeah, it's a real yin and yang situation
That's
going
true.
on.
I hadn't thought of that.
I don't see them working against Harmony as such. Like Harmony's got this. He's like, I'm not really sure what's going on. I don't really know what my problem is. I definitely see that more being a Trell sort of situation or something else. I don't think it's going to come from Kelsier and Marsh.
Okay.
So I've just kind of
Marsh
jumped
has-
in there. Joe, were you finished? Sorry.
Oh, I guess was it my turn? I hadn't really like started going. I was just answering his question. So really, Dak, are you finished?
I'm mostly done. I was just sort of thinking to myself, I wonder if Marsh resents Kelsier for being turned into an Inquisitor, but
I mean, I don't know. He kind of made that choice on his own.
well, he made the choice to go in and be a spy, but like I don't know if he actually expected to be recruited or what happened. But anyway, like you said, that was all centuries ago, so he might have once been, and now he's over it.
Right.
'Cause he's been one for so long now. But
We don't know if he actually
Maybe
had
they
the
catch up.
opportunity to say no to that.
It's true.
Maybe they catch up every month and go for a beer down the pub or something. Like, you never know. Maybe they're actually the best of friends now.
Yeah.
Could be. We
That'd
don't
be
even
nice.
know. Of course, we don't even know that Kelsier's on this planet, or because I mean, essentially, no one has seen him for quite some time. Because
I
these
guess the one spike
people's,
to the eye is distinctive.
yeah, but these people's like are talking about an old Lord Ruler that told them about the Bands of Mourning set, many, many, many years ago, and that temple it's probably been there for many years, so it's very possible he hasn't been around for quite a while.
True, and he knows about the perpendicularities to get off the planet, so
Yeah, at this point he knows some amount of information that he could possibly move from different planets, but yeah, maybe he's palling around with Spook somewhere.
I like
I would be
Uh,
disappointed if they've left that hanging there, that Kelsier was, effectively posing as the Lord Ruler to save these people, and then we
Mhm.
didn't see him in the next book. I think that would be disappointing.
That
Yeah.
would be. I don't know. It seems like, and of course we don't know how much the Khandra know, but it seems like the Khandra don't really know all that stuff is going on. They are talking about the bands as if they really did come from the Lord Ruler, and so Malon didn't seem to have any extra knowledge about Alec and his people, so that leads me to wonder how much does Harmony knows maybe potentially what's going on with Kelsier, but maybe he doesn't or chooses not to kind of focus on that. So and obviously he hasn't disseminated that information to the Khandra. So like maybe Ten Sun knows, but he's keeping it quiet. Like, that guy seems to be a pretty closed book.
Well,
He almost seems like the leader of the Khandra, but also he doesn't, like, he stays out of everything. He just kind of does his own thing, maybe. I don't know. But as far as my predictions for what's going to happen next, yeah, I mean, if this is the last one in Era 2, it would be a real shame if we didn't get some kind of explanation / conclusion to Trell and kind of what's going on. So I would assume that maybe this next book will be focused on that if this is the last one in this era. Or maybe I'll be surprised. Maybe Scadrial will be destroyed. Like, it wasn't in Mistborn Era 1, but then it does get destroyed at the end of this era. That would be a bummer for our heroes, but it could be interesting for the Cosmere at large for something like that to happen, for a big shift to happen in the Cosmere for one of these planets to be destroyed. But it doesn't sound like Trell wants to destroy the planet, though. He just wants to destroy the people on the planet.
Yeah.
So maybe the planet will stay intact and just, the majority of humanity will be wiped out. Man, that'd be a real full circle if like the majority of humanity was wiped out again. That'd be very interesting.
Every era of Mistborn, everyone will die except for
Yeah.
a few people.
Yeah, a few people. So, yeah, I think I will predict that we're going to get some kind of explanation, maybe a good wrap up to this Trell business. At the very least, hopefully we'll find out who Trell is or what Trell wants by the end of the book, even if it's not completely done with at the end of this era. Maybe Trell will be like, this planet's too much trouble, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll get that. Yeah, maybe we'll have a little Wax. Heck, if there's a good amount of years in between now and then, maybe we'll have a little Wayne. That would be terrible and terrifying.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. This is what I envision if there is a little Wax. It's like little Wax pals around with Wayne, and Wayne teaches him all the dirty tricks that he plays. And so we've got like a mini version of Wayne that is Wax's child, just going around doing crazy stuff. That'd be funny.
It's like, you left him alone with the child again?
Yeah. Uncle Wayne will show you the tricks of the trade.
Yeah, never leave your kid alone with Wayne. Seriously.
Yeah. And Marasai has a milk chocolate empire. You know, maybe Marasai will get involved with Alec, and maybe she'll be like the diplomatic emissary between their peoples. That'd be interesting to have her kind of go back and forth between them. They seem to get on pretty well with her. Maybe her and Steris will kind of tag team that, because Steris seems pretty good at diplomatic talking. So that'd be kind of fun. But other than that, yeah, I don't know. I really don't know what to expect. We haven't been privy to any knowledge, and hopefully these predictions will get to be paid off soon if we are able to read this story next. We've enjoyed, I feel like, the Wax and Wayne books so far, so it'd be nice to get to kind of complete the storyline somewhat soon. But yeah, that's really all I've got. I don't really know what to expect. We have lots of hopes that we've kind of had throughout the whole series, like finding out what happened to all these women and some other things, but those haven't necessarily come to fruition yet, so I guess we'll figure it out.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons that I was just like, maybe seeing these spikes is the explanation, because I think that's the closest that we found. Like, I have no idea what happened to these women, and so that's the only explanation that I've been able to come up with so far based on what we have. Kind of frustrating a little bit. I'm like, you got to revisit this, please, by the end of this last book, Brandon.
Definitely, we need an answer. This has to be wrapped up in this next book for sure. If we're looking at a time jump, maybe enough time to have a little Wax run around. If these women have been taken, to be, I guess, breeding other Allomancers, maybe we have a whole bunch of other Allomancers around, super Allomancers. I don't know, extra powers or something. I don't know what their intention is, but that would make, if you've kidnapped all these women and bred Allomancers that are on Trell's side, that could suck. Like, maybe we're going to have a war between the gods of some sort. I guess that's one way to destroy humanity. You're going to destroy humanity, but maybe you've been, like, if you're going to destroy Scadrial, maybe you've got now some Allomancers that you can take somewhere else in the Cosmere, and so that they will, like, the Mistborn will still live on somewhere else and be used somewhere else with those powers and skills. I don't know there. It's not going to be good. We're going to go through a bad time before things all work out. I mean, I think things will have to work out in some sense at the end. I know when we got to the end of Era 1, I was very much, they're all going to die. But I don't think we're going to get there. I think maybe we won't all die. We will now. But I don't think that's where we're going to go. Maybe we'll spend a bit more time down with, like, Alec and his people. Potentially Kelsey is still hanging out down there somewhere. Yeah, I agree. I hope we see a bit more Marsh. It would be great if we could see Tensoon again. He's off doing his thing in Sanderlanche, but it would be nice to see him again. Some of these players come back, but I'm like, is that too many players from the original trilogy to come back? I don't really know. Yeah, I think we'll see Raylure. We've got a lot to learn, I think, before we go. And Marasai seems pretty intent on figuring out the clues. Will she figure something out, which is the catalyst to keep going, or will something happen, which is the catalyst to keep going?
Yeah.
I'd like to think that Marasai is probably running the police department at some point. It was nice to see that her and Reddy were kind of getting along and they were working together a lot. So maybe she's in a better standing in a few years' time again. Maybe she's high up there, but I also love the idea of her running her own chocolate shop. Like, that sounds like something really fun.
Oh, she could run it out of an airship.
Yeah.
Like the Fifth Element with that guy with his Asian restaurant. I forget what.
Yeah, the noodle truck.
Yeah. It's like an ice cream van, but for chocolate, and it flies.
feel like she spent all this time. She's like, Wax, you need to do this. And then she'll be like, Alec, you really should export this stuff. Like, you could make a hell of a lot of money. No one's listening to me. Fine, I'll do it myself. And then she's really rich. She's richer than Wayne by that point. If we're looking at a couple of years, possibly a couple of years, maybe a decade, who even knows how long, advancement in technology, I think, will be interesting to watch too, because, Sage was saying that we didn't have certain technology yet, but we definitely saw an increase throughout this trilogy. The motor car, and then possibly the telephone. It'll be electric lights. It'll be interesting to see how far they go in this era.
Yeah, the technological advancement is always an interesting bit. Just in the books that we've read, they've had advances that were like, oh, like Dak mentioned with the radio thing. It's like, oh, radio is suddenly popping up. Okay. Yeah, that could be interesting. You had me thinking about this Maricide thing, where it's just going to be like, Maricide, I want her to have both. I want her to be like in command of a precinct or an Octant's police force, but then like her side hustle is that she owns this chocolate shop, and she's got like, maybe she now like just got married and he's running the chocolate shop and like, making cookies or something, and she's got her police thing going. Power
doesn't
couple.
sound like a
That's
bad life.
Yeah. Okay. I like, these are some interesting ideas about where we're going from here. The real trick is after the next Mistborn book, where it's just like, okay, that's the end of this era. What's gonna happen next? Who knows? Okay. Let's I have several emails that I was saving for the end of this book. I don't know that we're gonna read them all today. I think I'm gonna read one today, and then we'll save something for next time.
Before we get into that, I've always given these books a rating, so I'll go ahead and rate this one as well.
Oh, yeah.
So this book was good. I think it's I think Dak and Jamie have both said this, and I'll agree that I think this is the best book of the three books that we've read about these characters for sure. And so I'm gonna give this one, for me, this one's an 8 out of 10. I enjoyed it a lot, and I think there's some really great moments. I don't remember what I gave the last book. If I gave it an 8 as well, then just make this 8 more bold than the last one. But this was a good book. I enjoyed it quite a bit. There were a few things in the middle that I was kind of like, well, I feel like that's unfinished, or that wasn't a completed thought. But other than that, the wrap up was, I think, a lot smoother than a lot of the books that we've read by Brandon so far. So yeah, I think it was a good book with a nice finish.
Anyone else want to do a rating or place it in your list of among all these books where it would go?
Oh, I think that's necessary.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm terrible at those things.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. I think overall I enjoyed it probably the most out of the Wax and Wayne books so far. It just edged out Alloy of Law, but I liked them. I like the other books. What else do you need to say?
Right, there you go. Okay.
Yeah, I think in that vein, I guess this would have been my favorite out of the three of this trilogy. Overall, this trilogy versus Era 1, I think these ones, I guess, weren't as, there was still a lot of like mysteries and things put through them that you had to kind of stitch pieces together. But I think we were keeping track of fewer things than Era 1. I feel like Era 1 was way more complicated. Not that that's a bad thing, that's a different thing, but I think in general, I prefer the Wax and Wayne books over Era 1 so far.
Interesting. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, there's less time to have like more threads, so they just, by the nature of it, kind of have to have fewer threads, I guess.
Yeah, and I think like there was definitely Era 1 book 2, there was a lot of that we were like, oh, like I'm so over the political stuff, like this is my soul. Where I never got those moments in these books. I was like, oh, that's fun. Oh, that's fun. And most of the time our characters were pretty much together or working on the same things, or like they'd split up and do things, but they came back together quite quickly. Whereas some of the other books, it was like, okay, you're actually never going to meet in this book. You're over here and you're over here, and it's just keeping track of a bigger thing. Like it was a much bigger scale, which is probably where we're going to end up in the next book at some point, because we've definitely expanded our world. We're no longer just in Elendel or one city, and we've got less characters to keep a tab of. But yeah, I'm not going to rate them because I'm terrible and I always change my mind. But yeah, overall, I think the Wax and Wayne books I definitely preferred to Era 1.
It's a very popular topic of discussion in the fandom about like which era is better, which era, and you see people all different ways. I don't think I've ever seen anyone say era 1 sucks, but I've seen several people like, oh, era 2 is nothing compared to era 1, and other people are like, no, era 2 is so much better. And in my opinion, they're very different sorts of stories, and I like them both, but it's hard to compare.
Different lengths, different paces, different settings. Like, yeah, they like the only similarity is the fact that they're on the same planet. Like,
yeah, exactly.
And also, like, that's the thing with online discourse. You lose all the nuance. It's like, yeah, I think I prefer the Wax and Wayne books to the original trilogy, but that doesn't mean I dislike the original trilogy. It's okay to like both.
Yeah, exactly.
Correct. Yeah, for sure.
You like what you like.
I definitely enjoyed era 1.
Yeah, that just gets lost a lot in online discourse. It's like, oh, well, if you like this thing more than you liked this second thing, then you must have hated the second thing. Like, no, I didn't.
Yeah, just like things at different strengths.
Yeah, I've even seen people post on Reddit to be like, oh, I've heard era 2 sucks. Should I even read it? And it's
find out for yourself.
Well, yeah, probably the most popular response, and the one that I tend to agree with, is like, look, era 2 is different. So if you go into it expecting the same kind of thing you got with era 1, you will probably be disappointed. But if you go into it understanding this is a different sort of thing, then it is very enjoyable. But yeah, so online discourse can be very reductionist.
Yeah.
Okay. Email. We're gonna do one today. I'll save one for next time, or save 2 for next time. This one is from Bomo. It says, "Hi everyone, Bomo again. I'm hoping this gets to you just after you finish Bands of Mourning, which it got to us like 2 episodes ago, so you're not too far off. You've just read my favorite reveal in all the Cosmere, that Kelsier is still alive. First of all, I want to say that nobody gets credit for predicting that he was the Lord Ruler, since you all guessed literally everyone in existence for that reveal. So it wasn't truly a prediction." Well, okay, Bomo, you don't get to decide who gets credit for this prediction.
Literally everyone in existence. Oh, I think that guy was actually Breeze.
I don't know if anyone said that, but could be, if the Conjure didn't have his hands already.
Oh, I know. It was Vin, guys. It's Vin.
Next.
Fuck it, let's go. Everyone in existence. Oh, well, that was Raoden.
That would have been funny, actually.
It was Raoden.
Next, I wish I had pointed this out earlier, as the irony now isn't quite as good as it was after the first couple of Wax and Wayne books. But have you ever noticed how Kelsier is known as the survivor, even though he died, and Marsh is known as Death, even though he's still alive? It's true.
Yeah, I've always thought that was kind of goofy.
Finally, to the main point of the email. Now that you've read both, and you see the monster reveal at the end of Bands of Mourning, do you wish that you'd read this before you read Secret History, as it was originally released and is supposed to be read? Obviously, you can imagine that without Secret History hinting that how Kelsier might still be alive, this reveal would be much more dramatic, exciting, and powerful. I read Bands of Mourning before Secret History myself, and I'm generally very against people doing Secret History first, as I feel that it is at least partially spoils the surprise. When I first read the reveal, I couldn't decide if I was upset because I'm generally opposed to characters coming back to life, or excited because Kelsier is awesome. In the ensuing time, however, I realized that almost anything is worth having Kelsier back, as everything is better with him involved. We talked about this a lot in this episode, but
this person's got some opinions about how things should be read. Apparently,
that is also in the fandom a very it is a big bone of contention, and people feel very strongly in various ways.
Interesting. Look, man, I feel like the way we read it was fun. I liked being able to guess that Kelsier could have been involved here, and the fact that it was true, I feel like it was. I personally felt like I got a good sense of like, oh man, that feels good to know that like he is still around, like even more so than in Secret History, and that he was involved here. Like that's a cool feeling. So it's exciting.
Like I gotta say, the thing about the order we read stuff in that I will always hold on to, like, well, I'm glad we did it the way we did, was like halfway through Elantris, where I just like out of nowhere just gone, hey, wait a minute, those fuckers from Secret History, they were Elantrians. Like, that's probably, looking back on all the things we've done for the show, that's one of the things that's always stuck out in my mind, where I just randomly figured out, hey, wait a second. So if we hadn't read Secret History when we did, we wouldn't have gotten that, so I'm keeping it.
Of course, we might have just gotten, we get into there, and you'd figure out in Secret History, wait a second, are these Elantrians? So you might have
I know, but it was fun to do it when we were still relatively new to the Cosmere.
It's always hard with these things because you can't unknow something. It's
right.
like you never know how you would have felt one way or the other. And I mean, Data, you're the only one on this podcast who's gotten to read it the other way.
Mm-hmm.
And you said earlier that it's a bit of a shame that like you guys couldn't get that surprise. But I think there's still an element, like having read that and you know that Kelsey is around and he's trying to find a way back. And, at this point, that's the confirmation that he did, which is still really exciting because it's kind of all up in the air. And you've got Kelsey in the back of your mind, and it's not a total shock to see Kelsey come back. But there was still something about it. It's like, the scars survive. Like, it is still a really cool moment, even though you knew he was potentially still around and you could sort of hazard a guess that he's involved. I don't think we lost anything by having read that earlier. But if you've read it, if you did it the other way, I can see how you can't unsee it. But I still thought it was a really cool moment. Like, I don't think we were robbed of anything reading it the way we did.
That's good. Like,
yeah.
And there is Bomo says that this is the biggest or their favorite reveal anyway. And when I first read it, it's a big moment. But there are some other big moments like that in the Cosmere, some very similar moments that I have been working to make sure we're preserving for y'all and reading things in an order that will allow you to experience those. So it's not like there will never be a moment like that again. So someday we'll get some other ones, and I'm excited for those. There's one podcast that I listen to that reads the Dresden Files, that sometimes when there's like these big moments, they'll do an episode where they're just live reading that chapter so that you can hear the response live. And I've considered that at times for some things on this show, but I don't know if we'll ever actually do that.
I think there was an episode of Potterless, which is the guy who read Harry Potter for the first time. In Deathly Hallows. Like, there was a bunch of his friends told him, this number chapter, record, like put your phone on record so you can hear your reaction to what happens. And it's the chapter where like the snake comes out of the old lady's body.
Yeah, okay.
And so he recorded his own reaction to that, not knowing what it was going to be, what he was about to encounter, and then put the audio clip into the episode. It was fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
He's got just going, what the, oh god, what the fuck?
That's inappropriate.
My wife is a big Harry Potter person as well, and she told me that the first time that she read the last book, she, spoiler alert, this book came out in 2007. So I'm going to go ahead and just say 1, 2, 3, here come the spoilers. She read the part where Hedwig died, but completely missed the fact that Hedwig died. So she just kept reading. And then later when Harry was like, nah, Hedwig's gone, she was like, wait, what? When did that happen? So she had to she was reading too fast. She had to go back and reread that section where Hedwig is killed. And so that was always something that I was like, man, could you imagine that? You missed a part of that book and you had to go back and be like, when did that happen?
I've absolutely done that.
Something similar happened to me when I was first reading A Song of Ice and Fire. Got to the Red Wedding, and it's like, yeah, there's a sense of unease and stuff hanging over the place, and then all of a sudden everyone was dying on the page. I'm just like, wait a minute, when did this start? And I had to go back to the page, back a couple of pages. Like, did I miss something? It's like, oh, no, that's just where crossbows just came out of fucking nowhere and everyone started dying.
It's pretty sudden.
Yeah.
I read that 7th Harry Potter book. I got the leaked copy before the book came out, and I read it in a night.
Tisk.
Like, I was up all night reading this book because I was like, I'm reading this book. And I'm sure that I missed a lot of stuff my first read through. But I tend to read so fast that happens to me all the time, where I'm just like, somebody will say something, I'm like, when did that guy even come into the room? And I got turn back 2 pages or something.
Yeah, I remember that you told me that it had leaked, because then when I got the copy of the book, you went to confirm that it was actually that the leak was legitimate. So you went to read a few things and you're like, okay, yes, and that was a real leak.
I read the actual book. Good. Not like a fan fiction that somebody was just put out.
That would have sucked.
That would have been the ultimate prank if somebody had leaked the book, but
right?
big giant climactic details they changed completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, imagine if Hermione hadn't actually died, and somebody just made a fan fiction where Hermione died and put it out there. That would have been nuts.
Is that a real thing? Does that exist?
But that would have been funny if the version I read had that, and then I just assumed that was true for the rest of eternity.
Yeah.
The movie was so lame they didn't even kill Hermione off.
Or the other twin gets killed instead. That probably wouldn't
would
have affected you as
effect
much
on anything. No. I would have hated if they had killed Hermione though. Like she was my favorite of the main three, actually. So.
Oh yeah, she's a great character.
Anyway, let me finish this email. Thanks for keeping going with the amazing podcast. I love listening to new episodes every Monday, and I hope you're all as excited to see Kelsier in the Lost Metal as I am. Remember, there's always another secret, wasn't to the time of next. I don't know if he's actually going to be in there. That may be an assumption that this person is making, or maybe they know something that I don't.
I mean, to have it literally be the last note of this book and then not have him show up seems like kind of a cop-out.
That's true. Okay, I'm gonna save the other one.
That would be like if the second Pirates of the Caribbean movie ended with Barbossa coming down the stairs and everyone's just like, what the fuck? And then he wasn't in the third movie.
Yeah.
They walk out of the room where they had met Barbossa and they're like, yeah, he told us to go this way. Come on, guys.
Yeah, so weird.
That's exactly it.
What do you think was up with that guy?
Yeah, I thought he was dead. Oh well.
Oh well.
I mean, in fairness, I could see like half those characters just walking out the room, just going, nope, 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 nope.
So, if you'd like to send us an email, the address is thesanderlanche@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram and Patreon, all sorts of internet-y places. For next time, what we're going to do, I have decided, and it's funny because I told the guys at the beginning of the episode I still hadn't come to a decision. We're there. We're going to take, this episode should be coming out the day before the new book releases. We are going to read the short story Perfect State, which is not a Cosmere story. It is available exclusively through Kindle, and that will take us 2 weeks because of the length of that one. So for everyone, let me pull out exactly what we will read the first time for next week. So that will give me 2 weeks, or at least 1 week. It's more like 1 week buffer to read the book, decide if we're going to go into it, and then get one shipped to Dak and Jamie if we're going to go straight into the Lost Metal. But for next time, we are going to read Perfect State chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4. The first 4 chapters. It's an 8-chapter book. For short story, we're going to read the first 4.
Okay.
And so if anyone is wanting to read along, this is it's very interesting, sort of different sort of story that Brandon has written. I almost want to say kind of sci-fi, but not exactly. It'll be interesting. I'm real interested to see what you guys think of this one, because it's different. And so we'll 4 chapters this time, 4 chapters the next time, and we will see what everyone thinks. So we're taking a little break from the Cosmere just to give us a buffer so we can decide what book we're running into next instead of jumping straight into Warbreaker. So after these 2 weeks, we'll either be moving into the Lost Metal or we'll be moving into Warbreaker. So you guys be prepared either way, audience at home. For anyone who's reading along.
That's true. If we do the Lost Metal, If we do the Lost Metal, that'll be like probably one of the first times that a lot of our listeners may not have read the book that we're talking about, and so they could, if you guys have not had the opportunity yet to read along with us, maybe it's a challenge to you guys to do just that. So you'll know in a couple of weeks if you can hold off that long. I know maybe a lot of our listeners are big fans, so they kind of plow through those books. But
I was going to say, we might get, let's estimate a third of the people will read along with us, and 2/3 like, I'm not waiting for you bastards.
Yeah, or maybe even like
if
a fourth.
If you do read along with us, let us know.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, email in with like what your predictions are about what I think going to happen. But don't be that guy who like reads ahead and then says like, oh, I predict this and this and this will happen, because that wouldn't be cool. I'm sure data will seed through those. Yeah, exactly.
Do not be embarrassed if your predictions like turn out to be completely stupid and unfeasible, says Volcano Guy.
Exactly. Speaking of which, we'll mention again that Data and I will be at the convention. So when you hear this episode, like if you're listening to it right now, we're at the convention. And we will be wearing shirts that say ask me about my volcano theory. And
you gotta get a picture of those.
Yeah, I will, and we'll definitely have stuff to hand out to you guys. So please don't be shy. I'm kind of a shy person, but if you come up to me and engage me, I'll engage you. No worries.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Because of my particular inclinations, I've signed up for a lot of board games that I'm going to be playing there, which I talked about before. But that's going to be fun, and we'll be wandering around, maybe hitting a couple of the points of interest. I think I was wanting to do Cosmere trivia. I don't know that Joe is going to be allowed to go to that one.
Yeah, maybe I'll just sit there with my earbuds on. It's fine.
There's several several interesting things that we've looked at on the schedule and that we've picked out as fun things to attend. So I'm excited. I think this is going to be fun little getaway for us.
Yeah, we haven't gone on a trip like this together in a long time.
That's true. I don't know when the last time was we went on a trip together, actually, now that you're saying that. No. Although I was going to see if you wanted to go to Australia when I go, but that would.
Oh yeah.
Since.
But I mean, you should.
Yeah. Since
well,
I will no longer be taking the person I was going to take.
Yeah, if we do, then I would probably try and also get a ticket for my wife, because there's no way she would let me go to Australia without her.
Yeah, well, and I was gonna say, because your little one will be, your little one will be like not even 2.
Yeah, he could stay with his grandmother for that long. She wouldn't mind.
So, well, yeah, I was gonna say that your wife probably wouldn't appreciate you going for 12 days and
without her. No,
without her.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
So yeah, we can
talk about that later.
Yeah. So 4 chapters of Perfect State for next time. Music by Miracle of Sound. Thank you, everyone, for listening. I hope you guys have enjoyed our coverage of now all of the existing Mistborn content, all of the officially published, at least, Mistborn content that's out there. We have, honestly, in terms of titles, not that much left in the Cosmere. In terms of percentage, as I pointed out earlier, we have a decent amount left. But we've got the White Sand graphic novels that we're still – I wanted to have read by now, but we'll see. We've got – Orbreaker, which, as I said, is one of the possibilities for things we're going into next. We've got there's 1, 2, 3, 4 existing Stormlight novels and 3. Wait, 1, 2. Is it just 2, really? I guess 2 existing Stormlight novellas, which get read in between some of those books. And then there's 1 short story that we haven't read, called Shadows for Silence in the Forest of Hell. And that's it. That's the rest of the Cosmere as it exists now. So
wow.
It's not really that many titles.
That Shadows of Silence one, that's like some other planet?
Yes, it is another planet. We have met actually someone from that planet.
Oh, this is the place that Chris was from, I think you said?
No. Nope.
No? What am I thinking of?
Although maybe that's now a spoiler. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. But anyway,
don't say anymore.
Okay.
So yeah, we've read a lot of the stuff, and we've read 40% of the text even that's out there. So we're probably further along. I've had so many people tell us that we're never going to catch up, that Brandon's like so far ahead of us, but we're like, what's that? That's 2/5 of the way through the entire Cosmere at this point, and we've been going for a couple of years. Yeah, but he's not.
Sounds like we got a lot of naysayers out there.
I don't know if it's a lot, but it's just, that's the stuff that sticks out to me is people being like, you'll never do it. I'm like, I don't think you appreciate how fast we're moving in comparison to.
Well, to be fair, like, you're looking percentage wise in terms of projects released, but like the last 3 books we did were relatively small compared to, like, the 3 books we just read took us less time than 1 Stormlight book would take us, for instance. So
yeah, that's true. The percentages that I've got are percentages of text. Of words. Well, it's not really words because it's Kindle locations, but that actually is more accurate than word count because it's space count. It's like 12 characters or something is 1 Kindle location or something like that. I don't remember the exact number.
Oh.
So that's what my percentage is based on, is Kindle locations. So that should be a pretty accurate reflection of actual amount of text. So yeah, we're 40% of the way through text. But that's because such a large, I think more than 50% is Stormlight. It's so big, but we're approaching it now. We're almost there. We have 1, maybe, depending on the Lost Metal, maybe 2 novels, and then we'll be moving right into Stormlight. So,
damn,
it's exciting. Get excited, everyone. I know there's podcasts that do what we're doing, but all about Stormlight. So there's people out there just waiting. Wow. Please get to that.
But I mean, you say that, but then don't forget, next year we've also got these other Cosmere books coming out, and I think he said at least 1 or 2 of them were completely standalone in the Cosmere. So,
wow,
3 of the 4 books are Cosmere, and I assume that they would kind of stand alone, but I don't know for sure. I've kept away from spoilers for those 4 books. That's the only fact that I know, is that 3 of, I don't even know the titles of them, but 3 of the 4 of them are Stormlight, or not Stormlight, are Cosmere books.
Well, I vaguely remember from the announcement video he did that he said that these were specifically Cosmere projects that he didn't think he would ever have the time to do, and all of a sudden he found himself with the time to do it. So that makes me think, okay, these are separate, unrelated projects, because he's got to still be under contract for things like Stormlight and I guess Mistborn, because he's talked about doing multiple eras. So these could just be new things that he put on the back burner while working on those.
Yeah.
So this could be me reading into it, but I assumed that meant these are brand new things.
Yeah, that does feel like an implication there to me. I agree with you. I guess we'll find out. I don't know for sure when you guys are going to find out. I'm going to find out.
Yeah, true.
When they come out. But okay. So yes, 4 chapters of Perfect State for next time. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate everyone, people sending in emails, our patrons. You guys are awesome. They were just the people in the Discord were giving more suggestions just the other day about like, hey, are you going to use the Patreon money for this or that? Or I think you should do that. And I was like, you guys have some good ideas. So, but yes, there's, I appreciate you guys, everybody, emails, feedback, patrons. You guys are all awesome. We appreciate everyone who listens. Even if the only thing you do is listen every week, you guys are awesome and we appreciate it. So, Wuzington time of next. Colo?
Steam train running on a reckless rail, speeding right up to the rising gale. Shuttle harder 'cause we're on your tail. London